Hello everyone, welcome to the Conan Exile interview with Joel Bylos. I hope I get this right. Um, just tell everybody who are you and what are you doing?
Sure. My name is Joel Bylos. I'm the creative director at Funcom.
Okay, and what is your main job there? What are you doing?
So I'm the creative director, which means that I'm responsible for the creative vision for the game, which means that mostly I'm directing the team in how to bring forth the elements of Conan in the game in particular, how to make the game feel like a Conan universe game, um, how to make the stories come forth, how to make the world feel like a Conan world. I give direction on things like the way that character creation feels, the user interface. I write most of the story in the game myself. So yeah.
Oh, cool. Please tell me something about Conan Exiles and what can we expect? What is Conan Exiles?
Okay, so Conan Exiles is sort of an evolution of what Funcom used to do because we made MMOs for a long time. The Secret World and Age of Conan, of course.
Yeah.
So in the last I would say the last 5 to 10 years, the MMO space has changed, and I would say that it started to split into smaller pieces. So you have, I think, PvP in MMOs has become more like what you get with MOBAs, and you get a lot of competitive PvP games that are just PvP multiplayer. And I would say that the survival genre is sort of where the role players and crafting have gone. And of course, Minecraft is directly sort of responsible for a lot of this.
Yeah,
So,
Minecraft came first.
exactly. So I think with Conan Exiles, I think what we're trying to do that's maybe a bit different to what other people have done is we have this excellent sort of universe, the Conan universe, which is a world that exists and has lots of stories. And so we're trying to build a sandbox in a world that already has lots of things in it for people to play with. So, a lot of survival games are just sort of like, oh, zombie apocalypse, or, Ark has, here's a big landscape with dinosaurs in it. We're trying to do a little more with sort of having, I guess I would say it's sort of a little more towards, if you want, there's a needle, and on one end is Skyrim, and on the other end is Ark. We're trying to find a space somewhere in the middle between those two.
Okay.
So Conan is a little more. It's got a little more story and a little more. Um, there's dungeons. There's things to find in the world that aren't just. It's not just an empty place to play around in. There are things that were there before you. There are NPCs who will talk to you, but it has all the things that you get in a survival sandbox game, like building, freeform building. So yeah, it's kind of we're trying to find this nice sweet spot, we think.
Yeah, that sounds pretty interesting. And so far, I looked into your website. I read everything I could find. So, yeah, it sounds really promising. Everything you said there, and yeah, you said something about story. You have more story than other survival games. Will you have a real storyline where you can get, I don't know, quests or tasks from other NPCs, or is it the story only in the background?
Yeah, no, it's I guess it's not so much quests. I would I hate to use this comparison. You find NPCs in the world and they tell you about things. And I guess it's a little like Dark Souls. You have to put together the pieces yourself. So there's no quest and nobody's going to tell you to go here and do that. But
Okay.
there is a story where you find things like, to start with, the player, there's a reason they are in exile and they can't leave, and you have to a large part of the sort of underlying motivation for players is figuring out why they can't leave. What is the reason, and why have they been exiled here? So there is definitely questions in the game for players to answer, but we don't have like characters giving you quests with a quest log or anything like that.
Okay, so it's depend on the player itself to find out everything he wants to know.
Absolutely. And as you explore, I mean, you find things that give you information. Um, and so you can piece together the puzzle from the information you find. Yeah.
You told the community a few months ago that you cooperate with NVIDIA for the sand physics. Um, so the sand is looking pretty nicely, but will it decrease the performance, the FPS, or is it
Yeah,
working fine?
it'll be optional. So if you have a very low end computer that can't handle the sand, you can turn it off. It's no
Okay,
problem.
that's great.
Yeah, it's we're trying to make the game scale pretty well. Um, yeah, one of our goals for early access is to have a very stable game that runs at a good frame rate.
It shouldn't start like Ark, because Ark was laggy as you know.
Yeah,
So
I think I can safely say that internally it already runs more smoothly than Arc did when it launched early access.
okay, that sounds good. Um, yeah. So the game has many to explore, many yeah, the story to explore. But what do you do to keep the player play the game? Or what do you do for a long time motivation?
Okay, so we have several systems. First of all, we have obviously robust crafting. So I mean, you're obviously crafting and upgrading buildings and equipment and so forth. So I mean, to get the top tier of gear, it's pretty similar to other games in that sense. You know, you start with wood, stone, you're ending up with metal, you're ending up with better gear. So there's that side of it, and then there's the longer term engagement features are things like exploring the sort of abandoned parts of the world, the dungeons, if you want. There's some pretty specific mechanics that we're making to make that interesting. There's the purge system, which is invasions of NPCs who will attack your buildings and cities, and so you have to prepare yourself and defend against those invasions. That's sort of the later parts of the game. In addition to that, we have the religion system, where players are able to, you know, become very adept in certain religions. So it might involve sacrificing, you know, enemies on your altar to summon the power of the gods to increase your status.
Can you
And so,
sacrifice NPCs, or can you only just sacrifice other players?
no, you can sacrifice both.
Okay.
Where our goal is to have NPCs and players be kind of interchangeable in the sense that if you prefer to play without other players, if you prefer to play single player or not, you know, local play, if you want, then you can use NPCs for almost everything you can use other players for.
I like the purge system. It sounds really great. I think it will be, yeah, it will be great for single player too. Um, and on your website, or you said between single player and multiplayer, there will be no difference. So of course, in single player, you don't play with other players, and it will be a bit difficulty to survive because you play alone. But you can do everything you can do in multiplayer too, right?
Yes, yes, that's correct. It's the same. It's essentially the same game. It's just that if you run in single player, you're hosting the server on your own PC, so you don't have other players connecting.
Okay. Is it possible to, if you play a few hours of single player or a few days or a few weeks and you've got really, really far and you just want to show your friends what you have done, can you invite or can you make the single player server into a, I don't know, a local running server or something like that to invite friends to your server?
What I would recommend is if you think that that might be the case, I would run a local server and just make it have a password so no one else can join until you want them to.
Okay.
Um, yeah, because you can play locally and then you can't let anyone connect to that. But if you choose to play locally, like a local host server, you can do that and then just put a password so no one else can join until you let them.
All right. So the game should start into the early access in the first quarter of 2017. Can you already say something about the content we can expect at the start of the early access?
Okay, so we have for early access, we have the desert biome, which is our first biome. We have, we're going to have a few dungeons. I can't say how many, but we've started with several. Um, we have we have the crafting system. We'll obviously expand on the crafting system, but we have a pretty robust crafting and building system. From the start, we're going to have the first version of the religion system. We're going to have the first version of what we call the thrall system. We'll have the sandstorm environment. Like, it's a weather hazard. You have to build shelter to get out of sandstorms. It's a lot, yeah, it's very dangerous atmosphere. Um, and I'm not sure if we're going to have the purge at the start of early access, but we're definitely pushing for that as one of the features. And then, there's all the basic things you'd expect, like combat and, yeah, like survival features, food, drink, all that sort of stuff will all be there.
Can you tell me what the thrall system is?
Sure. So the thrall system is a system whereby you can capture NPCs, and then you bring them to your base and you put them in the Wheel of Pain, if you remember the Wheel of Pain from the movie. And then when they come out, they are your slave, and you can choose what they do.
So can you send them to farm materials for you?
We don't. That's not one of the first ones we're going to have. It's more like in a game like Ark, for example, you can create these turrets which keep your base safe.
Yes.
In our game, you'll be able to create archers and guards to put at your base to protect your base when you're offline, for example. We will have people like torchlighters who walk around lighting torches in the city. We have dancers who will help to remove corruption effects and, of course, just cool dancers. We have smiths who will help you to make things in the crafting stations. But we will maybe eventually have gatherers, but we haven't planned for that yet because it's a bit more difficult on the AI side.
And then other players can kill them easily, I presume.
Well, not the warriors. They'll have to be good enough.
Yeah. We've got a question from our community. Can you tame horses, or can you ride horses, or can you tame other pets, animals, or something like that?
Yeah, we do plan to have that. We're not focusing on that for early access launch. Like the start of early access, we will add it during early access. We might launch with one mount in the start of early access, but I can't confirm that yet. So we're not because we're working on it, but we're not sure because we need to make it good. So
Yeah. Yeah, in the last trailer, or in the first gameplay trailer, we saw some bees, like I don't know the English word yet, but the vampire thing, the
the
gargoyle
bat,
thing, yeah, the bat. That's
yeah.
the right word. How many bees or how many monsters do you plan for the Alexa start, or for the finished game?
For the finished game, I guess we'll have well over 100. For the early access start, I'm thinking. Let me see. I'm trying to think. I think we have around 20 already. Yeah, and then humans, of course, are also enemies in the game. We have, humans to fight. So
That's pretty awesome. A huge variety.
yeah, not everything is monsters. We have like rhinos, for example. We have hyenas. So not everything is a big monster.
Okay.
Um, but we have wildlife. We have deer, gazelles, rabbits. Then we have scorpions. We have giant spiders, bat demon. We have Conan style dragon. We have yeah. So we have a lot of stuff. We have skeletons. We have undead, lizard men skeletons, things like that. There's going to be quite a. I think there'll be enough stuff. I don't think people will feel like it's very little.
I'm looking forward to fight the skeletons.
Yeah, they're cool.
So,
We have a cool mechanic in the game where you break enemy shields if you hit them hard enough. So we have some cool stuff there with the skeletons where their shields break when you're fighting them. It's quite fun.
um, yeah, we see or we saw in the trailer some different weapons, and you already post some weapons on your Facebook site. Um, can we take different weapons with us and switch them in the fight, in the middle of the fight?
Yes, absolutely. So you can start with a bow and then switch to a sword and then switch to a spear. It's no problem.
I think that will be pretty funny.
Hmm.
So your fighting system looks pretty awesome and dynamic. Have you been inspired by by another game, or did you come up with it for yourself?
I think our starting point was to make. I mean, we're making a first-person combat system, and first-person combat, especially melee combat with swords and shields, is quite difficult. I think Skyrim, sort of a lot of people. There's some people who love Skyrim and some people really dislike
Yeah.
Skyrim. So you kind of you've got to find the right balance. And this is a Conan game, so people expect combat, whether they expect it to be amazing and epic, is it's difficult. I think people have an expectation when you say barbarian. So we've been trying to sort of find our feet with combat, trying to find the right way to do it. Um, I guess I would call our combat sandbox combat. It's sort of like if you took Skyrim and Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Did you ever play that game?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So the idea is that we create this series of tools that the player can use, and then we let them loose in a sandbox so you can combine different things to kill enemies. So, it might be that you kick a guy into a spike trap, or you set someone on fire with a bow. So we're trying to come up with sort of cool and I guess sandboxy ways to make the elements of combat work together. So I think if you just look at screenshots, it looks a little bit like the way Skyrim plays, but I think you'll find it's very actually quite different in the actual execution.
Okay. In the game description, like on the Steam page, um, and on your website, of course, too. Um, you said something about yeah, what do you want to be? A warrior, a hunter, or a king? So
Yep.
can you really be a king, or is it something like the player make himself a king because he built a kingdom?
Yeah, it's more like that, I would say. I think
Okay,
that's standard marketing, being excited about things. We
so
we are we are trying to make the building system. Um, we want to make it so that people build cities, towns, and cities, not so that they just build one big castle. So we're making things systems that we're putting in like things like roads that you can build, and when you run on the roads, you get twice as much speed and things like that. So you can build roads between areas, and you want to put roads in between your houses and stuff.
so about the buildings, can you build everything you want, or is it prefab or something between?
It's a prefab building. It's already built, and
Okay.
then you just fix it. Yeah, so it's a little bit like Ark, I would say. So you place walls, you place foundations, you can build how you like. We have triangle shaped foundations, so you can build round buildings. Um, and then we have prefabs for things like if you want to build a station for, yeah, well, I guess Arc does the same. The machines have prefabs. So
Yes.
if you want to build a armor bench, that's a prefab. You don't build that by piece. But yeah, the building is freeform.
Okay. Cool. The sandstorm is one of the most dangerous environment, I think, for the
Yep.
start. And if you have a wood house, can the sandstorm destroy it?
Well, you can't build a wood house. The first tier is stone
Oh yeah, okay.
because you're in the desert. We don't. It's not exactly like Ark has this. You make thatch, then wood, then
Yeah.
stone, then yeah. We don't. Our progression doesn't work like that. because we're using the Conan universe, we're actually making our buildings cultural. So the first tier, like tier one, tier two, and tier three, are all stone, but the first one is stone with wood, the second one is stone with metal, and the third one is stone with steel. So you start upgrading your buildings, they look better, but they're all stone buildings.
Okay,
And
but
so
can the sandstorm destroy them, or can the sandstorm make any damage?
not to the houses.
Okay.
It does damage to players, of course, and it does damage, yeah. And NPCs can damage the houses, but not the storm.
So the early access will start early 2017, and you want that Conan Exile should not stay more than 1 year in early access.
Yeah, that is correct. We're going to try and keep the whole project to 2 years.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty ambitious. Um, Most early access games don't do it in 1 year. Um, but I think if you can reach that goal, the community will be pretty happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can, of course, we reserve the right to change our mind, but
Yeah, of course.
our goal at least was to be in early access for less for a year. We have a pretty good. I think when we launch, people will be happy with the what we have, the feature set. I think we've done pretty well. So I think we have a nice range of features. Um, and I think everything works pretty well at the moment. We're focusing very heavily on making sure that our servers are very stable. We're trying to get the server stability right. We think that's one problem that early access games have, is that once you get more than 5 people on a server, they start to have problems. We want to try and run tests. We're running a lot of internal tests where we have 30, 40 people on the servers without any major drama
So,
at the moment. So
so how many people do you plan on? Yeah, for how many people can play on a server?
I think we're trying to make sure that the server frame rate never drops below 10 server frames when there's more than 100 people or at 100 people. I think it's something like that.
Okay, that's how big is the map?
Well, the desert map we're launching with is not. I think it's maybe 3 by 3 kilometers, so nine kilometers squared. But of course, it's getting larger when we add the other biomes because um, we have one large map,
Yeah.
everything that is 8 by 8. And what we're doing is, so when you start playing the game, you will have the whole map there, but we're not finished with all the other areas. So we'll start adding more things to those areas. So when you start playing, you can't leave the desert. There's a reason in the story as well why you can't leave the desert. And then later on, we'll open, for example, the mountains, and then you'll be able to leave the desert and go into the mountains. But it won't be a new map; it'll be part of the same map.
With 100 players on a map so small, I'm pretty sure you want that the players meet each other and yeah, kill each other.
I think so. We're also making mechanic. I mean, first of all, it's like these games. I think that is one of the strongest aspects is you can customize the server, so you can choose. If you want to play PvE and not have to do PvP, you can do that. But we're making it so that there are areas where we know players will meet because we're putting that the only place to get this, or it's the only place to get a lot of this material. So you need to go there, and you need to meet other players when you go there. So we're hoping it does encourage people to meet. And I mean, PvP servers and PvE servers aside, I mean, we're adding a lot of emotes to the game. We're giving people a lot of ways to express themselves. We've been thinking particularly about role players. I do think our character creation is much better than any of the other survival games. I mean, I haven't seen one that has anything close to what we have for character creation. So
We didn't see much of the character creation yet. You only show some hair variation for the female character and the male character, um, which are looking really great so far. But what else can we expect in the character creation screen?
uh, you choose race, you choose skin color, you choose face, you choose all the bones in the face, the width of the chin, the width. I mean, it's like an MMO character creation. You
That's
choose
awesome.
eye colors, hair colors. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It'll be cool. I think people will like it.
So, do you plan to show the character creation before you start the early access, or is it something like, um, yeah, you want to keep it a secret till then?
I think we have another game that's coming out in the end of this month, the 31st. Hide and, or not on the 31st, but before Halloween, we have a game called Hide and Shriek that the company is releasing. It's not made by the same team; it's a different team. But when that game is launched, then I think you'll see a lot more Conan Exiles in the press because we're going to start doing more and more. Like we're going to live stream the game and show people what we're doing. So we just haven't started that yet. So yeah, we'll show character creation before launch. I promise.
Okay, this will be awesome. Okay, so let's talk about the rituals.
Sure.
Um, in the trailer, we saw something like, I would say, the snake god.
Set. Yeah.
Um, can we expect more than one god per religion, or is it only one?
Well, so religions are a crafting system in the game. Like you join religions and you do certain things in religions. So, for example, the people who worship Set, who is the snake god, they're not allowed to kill snakes. If they kill snakes, they lose favor with the god. So you're not allowed to kill snakes in the game. But if you follow the god well and you do different things like sacrificing people's hearts at the altars, then eventually you can attract what we call an avatar. An avatar is like the giant snake. And eventually, if you get your skills high enough, you can summon the avatar of your god sometimes to help you. So we have this vision, and it's not in the game yet, so I don't want to promise anything to people until we see where we come to. But we have this vision of, gigantic snake that you can summon and send to attack your enemies and things like that.
I hope I will get to see that.
Yeah, me too. I hope it comes in. We're working on it. We're definitely trying to get these avatars in. We think of this. You remember Black and White? Did you ever play the game Black and White, where you had the god avatars?
Yeah.
We're thinking along the same sort of thing. Like players can get an avatar of a god that they need to feed and keep happy. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it seems pretty promising, as I said before. And I think many people want to see more and they want that the game will be awesome.
So
And you want it, I want it. So yeah, keep it going.
yeah. I mean, I hope so. But we have to also keep people in reality. I mean, it's we have not been working on this game for more than a year at this point. I mean, we started in January, so it's not a game that's been in development for 4 years or anything like that. We're trying very hard to get as much in as we can, but we need to keep people's expectations somewhat realistic as well.
Yeah,
We have
of
lots
course.
of cool ideas and we hope to get them all in, but yeah. I think people will be happy with what we deliver at early access. I think I look at what comes out on early access and I see where the bar is, and where I think we're going to hit that bar quite easily. So that's okay. But yeah, it still won't be like we're not competing with AAA games. We're not making Grand Theft Auto 5 in Conan's world now. So we
Yeah, I mean, yeah, our community, yeah, they know early access games, so I think they won't be too hard if something doesn't work
yeah.
right at the beginning. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it to see anything.
Yeah, well, we'll start. I'm pretty sure you'll start seeing a lot of stuff from us in November. So
Oh, do you plan to put Conan the Barbarian, the original one, into the game as an NPC?
yeah, I mean he's there in he's the very first person you meet in the game is Conan the Barbarian.
Oh,
So
cool.
yes,
Will he look like Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, no, he looks like. Have you seen you've seen the CGI we have? It's the same
Yes.
model.
Oh, okay, so I thought it would be a player model.
Well, it's the
So,
same. It's the same. We got the model from the guys who made the CGI for us, and we put
okay.
that model on our rig. So it looks like Conan. It looks like the same Conan as in the CGI. It doesn't look as nice because of course we're rendering it in Unreal and not a rendering, CGI program. But
Yeah.
it's still the same model.
Okay. Yeah. I don't have another. Yeah, I don't have any questions
Cool.
left.
I hope it helped.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it was really great to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been perfect. Good questions too.
And
So
yeah, I hope our community and everyone who can understand English will be happy to see the video on YouTube
yes, I appreciate it.
to get some more informations.
I appreciate the chat. It's been great. It's been really useful. Yeah, it's nice to hear from people who play these type of games, particularly like your website. You guys are very specialized, and I like that.
Thank you. We try our best to make it special. Um, yeah, anyways, thank you for your time and yeah, have a great day.
It's great talking to you. Take it easy. Bye.